Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Question of the Day. We'll be right back after a short message.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Paranormal Question of the Day. We do live podcasts with live guests, live paranormal investigations as well. We do product reviews, so sit back, enjoy the channel, get popcorn, get a soda, and I'll see you soon.
And we are back. So hopefully everybody's had a good Father's Day weekend and not getting sick like moi here. I can't hardly speak right now because my nose is so plugged. But the show must go on. So tonight we have Miss Tory Westhoff with us here, and then we also have Jason Jeep. If you want to call him just Jeep, you can do that. Um, Other than that, yeah, welcome guys to the show. And what is it? StreamYard's got a new thing here. We can see at the bottom. So we got Tim, and we got uh, Ferg, Ferg, Fergie. Sorry, I'm gonna say Fergie. So,
Hi, Ferg
uh,
Mom.
and
I love
so
her.
she's good. She's good. She's
I
got a
love
lot of
her.
interesting stuff. Um, but anyhow, so tonight we're going to be talking about her new location, which is Haunted, which I know it's misspelled, so you don't have to tell me in the chat. She's
Already
already
took the
told me.
pleasure.
And we're going to talk about the Sleeper Mortuary. We're going to talk about her books that she writes for other locations. And she was just at Ashmore Estates, so we can get into some of that as well. So, for those of you who are just joining in to the podcast and have never been on here before, this is the Paranormal Question of the Day. We are on BB3 TV on YouTube, MGS Paranormal 4258 on YouTube, and Paranormal Brew on Facebook. So, with all that out of the way, Tori, you let the fine
Yes.
folks know who you are and how you acquired the Sleeper Mortuary.
Well, I've been in the paranormal for a long time. Those of you that don't know me, I'm Tory Westhoff. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. And I know there's more to that statement, or that saying, but I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to say the first part. um, I've been involved in the paranormal for quite a long time. I'd been location scouting for a little while, probably about 5 years or so. And sorry, there's a lot of car going by. But
Can't hear it.
I actually came across the mortuary by accident. I saw it listed and it looked very reminiscent to a funeral home that we have where I live. And so I did some research because I'm a researcher, I'm a nerd. And voila, I found that it was a funeral home. I about said nursing home. I don't even know where that came from, but I found out that it was a funeral home. And yeah, and the rest is history, really.
And it's
Um,
not a small place by any means either.
no, it's actually fairly large, larger than it looks from the outside. I'll say that. It's about 15,000 square feet across 3 floors. There's a basement, a first floor, and a second floor, and each floor is about 5,000 square feet.
Wow, that's a lot of ground to cover. That's definitely a 2 night stay versus a 1 night stay, or stay 10 times in a row to try just to cover most of it. You
Jeep had
know,
the pleasure of going. He went. To get anywhere in the building, it feels like you're walking the North 40 for sure.
wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
you got to bring your walking shoes.
Got a lot of that, I can tell you that, and a lot of equipment too, because you got to spread it all out. So
Yeah.
And
that's
you do
just
want to
Um,
you do want to be prepared for that, because if you can spread out and have multiple cameras or anything else recording or whatever you want to do for your evidence, having recorders in different locations, it's so spread out. You need more than what you think. Like, it
hmm
really is that way. It's amazing. Yeah.
so
yeah.
we have Mike Westhoff in here. Is that any relation?
Yes, that's my dad.
Awesome,
Hi, Dad.
awesome. Welcome to the
He's
program. That's pretty cool to have him in here.
I
And then
can't
we,
see the comments because they're so small.
yeah,
So
and then there's Haunted Neighbors Paranormal is in here.
yes, hello,
So
hello, and thank you
Kate's
guys for
here,
coming to
Kate
support me.
Linder,
It's
and
Kate. I love Kate.
we have
Um,
Lori.
Kate
So
and her husband Tim are actually coming on July 5th to help me with a kids event
Oh, it's
at the
awesome.
okay,
mortuary. Yeah, we put
very cool.
together a kids event, and it's for kids from 8 to 17 years old, and it's basically an introduction to paranormal investigation, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Now speaking of age, to
Hmm.
you, what is the appropriate age to start getting into this stuff? Because I know there are some people that say, well, 16 or 18 when they say you're an adult when you're 18 to understand what we're doing. To you, what is an appropriate age?
I think that question is very subjective.
Uh
I
huh.
think that every kid is different, and it depends on their threshold for being scared or their threshold for understanding and their maturity level. I think there's a lot that goes into that. And I think that it's kind of a case by case basis. Personally, I allow children on property as long as there is a parent present and they're willing to sign a waiver for their child. I don't see any reason why they can't join in and learn, and there's some rules, like they can't be left on the property by themselves and that kind of thing. But I definitely think that there are children that I I I just think that it would be okay. Like, I don't, for my personal opinion, I don't see why they can't participate in it, especially when they see it anyway. They like watch it on TV and on YouTube and all of those places. And I remember growing up as a kid and talking about urban legends and you know Ouija boards and light as a feather, stiff as a board, and all of those things. Bloody Mary, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just taking them with you almost offers a healthier perspective, because then they get to learn what is appropriate, what's not, and how you conduct yourself and all of that stuff, and have fun too.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're that young, you learn what to do, what not to do at an early age.
Hmm.
Plus, there's an advantage that I don't know if this is a very, I want to say, trigger. A child is a trigger
Hmm.
because they can bring out other children's spirits
Hmm.
to help the situation a little bit more. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't want to say we're using them as triggers because
No.
I think that would be the wrong way to go about it. How to
But I
say it,
think that
but
if
it's
I think if your child's present, then children can identify with children, and they can talk to children, and you know what I mean. I think that, not that they're a trigger object, but if they're there and they can have that communication, then I think it's a valid avenue for
right,
Right.
that.
Uh, but
Yeah.
children can be triggers just like us,
Hmm.
right,
people.
exactly.
So I mean, the reality of it is that yeah, that's yeah.
So the other question I have is so in Iowa, there's a lady that she has some disabilities, and they had let her go on investigations, but she was only allowed during the daytime. What are your opinions on people that have those kind of disabilities where they're only allowed during the daytime and not the nighttime because other things will trigger?
Again, I think that that's very subjective. I think that depends on the capacity of the person doing it, and their ability to process it. I think there's a lot of things that go into it, and I don't think that there's any kind of clear cut answer, so to speak, for that. It's just a case by case basis.
Okay. No, I get it. I get it. I just wanted to get both sides. That way, people we were talking
Yeah.
about children and then people with disability,
Yeah.
and what your views on both because they are one and the same. Because you just don't know what the mentality is when you go into a location.
Yeah.
Everything is
And I definitely think that that would be up to caregivers. And because at the end of the day, if they get too scared or they get, those are the people that are going to be caring for them after that experience. So, if a caregiver says that they're not capable or not ready or not, whatever the case may be, if they're not ready for that, then I think that that would be a valid reason to say no.
Right, right. Jeep, you got a question you want to ask her?
No, I mean, like what I was listening to with what Tory was saying, a great perspective of it is that I've never thought about till she said it, that kids are going to experience things at a certain age. I mean, it could be any age. It could be 4, 5, 6, or what you said. I love the idea of the kid event because you are placing them into an environment that can offer guidance in regards to what they see, where if they experience it by themselves, their mind and imagination could go anywhere. So I
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
really love that process too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, I do have to ask this question. So when I was there last time in the living room couch and watched the garage door remote fall down on the table, has the activity, and you and I talked about the fact the activity has increased a little more in general over time. And we talked about possibility that maybe there's something a little bit darker. So let's say that the environment is one where it might get bigger, like it might get really dark, right? Not your place. Your place is not that way, but in an environment where it might get really dark, like how do you still do the same thing, or do you feel like you need to change that rule some? What are your thoughts on that part?
Well, I have a lot of different theories as in regards to like the mortuary. Now, when we first opened the mortuary in January, we had it was very light, very airy. The interactions seemed to be very positive, and there wasn't really anything that was worrisome to me. Like it all seemed very innocent and benign and just a breath of fresh air. Since we've been open, I've started to notice like something of like a darker theme. I'm not going to say it was demonic or evil or anything like that because I don't think anything like that is at the mortuary at all. And nor do I think it's ever going to be. Now, do we have something there now that's with the get outs and leaves and kind of like it doesn't want us there type thing?
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is. And it's started to come up and it started to I've had more than one group report it to me with EVPs and that they've shared with me that it seems to be something of a darker nature. And by darker, I don't mean demonic, like I said. It's just more angry, maybe is a better term for that, or um, kind of
It's more of defensive or more of a I'm not in the mood kind of an attitude. It doesn't have a
yes,
negative, it's not a negative evil thing. It's
no,
just a I don't really want to communicate with you kind of a
yes.
standoffish kind of a feeling.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I also think that it works as a protection for other spirits in the building. And I
Oh, that's
say
good.
that mostly in particular because when we have males down in the casket room, which is the big room off of the flower room, we have a female spirit in the flower room that is Eliza, sleeper, or at least that's who we think it is. And we've gotten confirmation several times of Eliza in the flower room and in the embalming room. But you get, when males are down there talking about going up to talk to Eliza, you get a lot of leaves, get out, that kind of thing. And sometimes I wonder if maybe it's Lyman being protective over Eliza, which makes sense because in our world, in the living, like if somebody were to walk up to your wife and start asking you weird questions or asking her strange questions, then you guys would be defensive over that. Be like, well, who are you? Why are you asking that? We don't ask people that kind of thing. So to me, in my mind, it makes sense. It makes sense that it would be that way.
That's
But
true.
also, sometimes I wonder, and this is something that I've talked several times before with other people, is whenever you go to other sites, there always seems to be that one dominant spirit, right? At Malvern Manor, it's one. At Edinburgh Manor, it's the Joker. At Garnet House, it's the Grinner. You just have like this one spirit that seems to be kind of testy and cranky, and it seems to regulate who can say what and when. And sometimes I wonder if every haunted location starts to develop that one made entity, and it's kind of like a police officer for the spiritual world, like what they can and can't say, how they can and can't act, what they can and can't do. And not so much because it's more of like a protection for them, as to, because I do think that there's a code of conduct on the other side. There are things that they're not allowed to tell us. And I think that if they did tell us, it would alter how we live the rest of our lives. If we knew what happened when we died, then I don't think that we would live life the way that we were meant to live it. And I think that all of the choices and decisions that we make would be tailored around what we know about the afterlife. So I do think that there's checks and balances there. And sometimes I wonder if maybe sleeper mortuary is in the process of forming that one dominant spirit to basically do the policing there. I don't know, and it's kind of it's kind of an interesting concept. And if that is indeed what's occurring, then it's kind of neat to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. Um,
Yeah,
just
I agree about that.
just to let everyone know, honestly, mortuary does not have a negative. Like a lot of people stereotype
No.
negative energies as this horrible thing. It's not. It is an energy or a response that it just gets awkwardly quiet, or it gets a situation where you get this just, it's your brain feeling creepy. It's not really the
Mhm.
spirit to me. Like when it happened, it was more about why is this pattern happening different? And it wasn't, it was my head thinking something. So you don't get a negative, ominous feeling. It's just this awkwardness. You know, it's more of
Yeah.
a, it's not a, like a negative thing. So I want to clear the air when I said that,
Yeah.
that's what I was referring to.
You know, and every energy that's there too. It's they're just want to know, hey, I'm here. This is my space. If you want to get to know me, this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I take away from that too, because it's like everybody goes, like I said, goes towards the demonic side of things right away, and it's like, how can you say that so fast when you've only been there? This is your first time being here. You can't jump to conclusions that quick on a location like that, because that will leave a negative effect on that location for a while. Because
And
then you're going to start telling that for everybody.
I sometimes think that some people live in that space where it's better to be safe than sorry. And I think that's not a bad way of thinking. Of course, like we definitely want to protect ourselves for things that don't have our best interest of heart. We don't want to put ourselves in a position to be hurt or
Right.
anything like that. So sometimes I wonder if people have that track of thought just because they want to make sure that they're in the safest space that they can be. And
Yeah.
I will say that, like at the mortuary, nobody's ever been hurt to my knowledge. I've never, it's just crabby. It's crabby sometimes. And it's more crabby to
Yeah.
dudes than it is women.
And you just don't know what they've been like in real life. I mean, they could be a really crab in real life, and that's just how it is. That's their makeup.
And
So,
I can honestly say personally, I've never I've never had any interaction like that myself. But of course, like when I walk in the door, I'm there like not every day, but I'm there a lot. And I don't know if it's just because they're familiar with me and they're comfortable with me and they're like, "Oh, she's just coming to sweep the floor and stock the coffee and all of those things and she's going to be out of here in just a little while." Like I'm not sure. But I feel like I have a good rapport with them, and I talk to them when I walk in the building, and I talk to them all the way through the building, and I'll investigate sometimes on live feed and whatnot. But I've never had a negative interaction. I will say the only And it wasn't negative. It was more probably because it was 3 o'clock in the morning and I was sitting in the flower room, like driving Eliza insane. But I got a full disembodied voice in my right ear, and she said, "I want you to go." And it was very clear, it was very loud, and I left. I was done.
I ain't messing around anymore here.
Yeah. She had had enough of my shit and wanted me out. So that was very clear. But yeah, it was very loud. It was in my ear, and we did catch that um, on voice recorder.
That's cool.
So, do you do what Josh does sometimes and just does like a streaming for a night at the location, and people would sit there and watch streams of something might
Yeah.
happen or whatnot?
I haven't done one in a while because I'm still kind of troubleshooting that. If I go live I do it on YouTube because you can on TikTok because they make you have like this little puzzle piece thing, and if you're not there to move the puzzle piece, it turns your live off. So I do them over on YouTube, and if you type in the search bar, you put at Sleeper Mortuary, my account should pop up, and you can follow. And but I've been trying to run it through OBS and do a live stream that way, which works. And I have cameras in there that I can live stream off of. And I can do that. The only problem that I've run into is through OBS when I have it going, in order to hear the security cameras, I have to have my volume on my mic turned all the way up, which also picks me up as well. So when I'm at home, you would hear the cameras, but you'd also hear everything going on in my household. So, um,
Uh,
I can do like if I can go live from my tablet there, but also if there's an issue, I can't correct it from home either. And oddly enough, like every single time I start a live stream on my tablet, something always messes up. And I don't know if it's the ghost there. They're like, hold my beer. You know what I mean? Or if it's truly just YouTube. I have had successful overnight live streams on YouTube, and it may be just as simple as getting one camera that I can move around and stream through OBS on that. But yes, I do those.
yeah, that's a
That
lot
was
of
a very
fun.
long explanation.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, a lot of people look for those things. I mean, Dollar Manor's a hit with that, and yours is a hit with that. So,
Mhm.
that's what people look for. They want to know what this location is like when they're not there,
Yeah.
so it could be easier for them to plan as to what they want to do when they get there.
Yeah.
So, um, have you found a spot in the mortuary that you feel is a little more like disturbing to you? Get the feels that like I don't want to be here by myself in this one spot, or have anybody else felt that way? And is it similar to yours?
I don't know that there's a spot that I won't go in. Um, Uncomfortable wise, I'm trying to think. It varies. I'll say that it varies. Sometimes, like the energy travels, and you can walk into a room and it just feels occupied, for the lack of a better term. And sometimes that's uncomfortable, but it's never been to the point. Well, I lied. I just lied. I just I just had a flashback.
Whoops.
So I just
Move
thought of
on.
this one experience. I was on a live stream on TikTok, and I was on the second floor and everything was like hunky dory. I had just gotten the Oddfellows casket set up, like I don't know, a couple days before that, and I was hit with sudden anxiety and it made me tearful, and I got my stuff and I left. That is the only time that I have been run out of the building.
Well, Oddfellows is enough for that because they have that big building in Missouri, I believe. Um, so you're kind of playing with the fire down when you're getting stuff from Oddfellows area.
Yeah.
So
And it's a really cool casket. Jeep, was the casket there when you came? I think it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah. And like I didn't know I lied until I thought of that, and then I was like, yeah, I totally lied. But when I recalled it,
You didn't lie. You just remembered.
That's
I remembered.
Oh,
Um,
reality. Yeah.
but it honestly was a very, it was very intense. It was sudden. And I mean, the anxiety that I got with that was like I was sweating. It was the whole fight or flight thing kicked in. And like I was on live stream and I was trying to swallow it down because I recognized like the feeling is like my stomach just went into my throat and I felt it and I'm like, well, this is different as I'm talking to my live stream and I was thinking in my head, I was like, I don't know what is going on here. Like something's happening. And I started sweating. Like you could see beads of sweat on my forehead. I mean, it was bad. And I do have anxiety. I'm just like a normal everyday person. Everybody gets anxiety every now and again, and I'm not immune to that. But this is the first time that it just kind of hit out of nowhere, and I had to go, and so I did. I sat my sack down, I locked the doors, and I left. I left everything where it was.
wow.
Yeah.
Have you collected more evidence on the girl from the casket?
So here is an interesting development.
Yeah.
There, Richard Estep, the author, he's very, very good. You should
Sorry about
definitely
that.
look up his books on Amazon.
Okay.
But my buddy Richard Estep was there. He spent about, I think, 3 nights, 3 or 4 nights
Good. Oh,
at
yeah.
the mortuary.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and he was doing some investigation and he was presenting this to his Patreon crew. He has several people that have a subscription to his Patreon, and he was talking about the casket that I have upstairs. And there is a researcher that is part of that Patreon group, and she reached out to me. And she's been doing a lot of research on this casket, and we're trying to find out who this girl was. There's been some really cool developments. I don't want to give it all away yet. I am going to document this history, but she's going to be coming later in June. But there is talks of a DNA test of the biological material that's inside of the casket to see if we can do a DNA profile. Because she asked me if I was willing to do that. She didn't know how I felt about it. And of course, I'm all in. Like, if that's what it takes to find out who this person is and tell their story, then that's what I'm going to do. So there's talks of a DNA test for the biological material left over in the casket and see where we go from there.
That's good.
Nice.
That's
I like
awesome.
that. That's a good idea, and hopefully everything works out for that. And plus, you'll also have like another spirit you can really talk about, um,
Yeah.
so to speak.
And the
So
DNA test itself is really going to offer like ethnicity, basically. It's going to tell us if she indeed was American Indian. Um, One thing that they did find out, the Oddfellows, according to some Oddfellows people that are part of the Oddfellows, that they never had actual bodies. They ordered skeletons from India out of a
ooh,
catalog, and that's where they acquired their skeletons, but they never had actual bodies. Now, is that true? I don't know. Maybe it is for that particular group she talked to. Not sure. But then it makes me wonder and begs the question, did the story get kind of twisted over time? Are they talking about an Indian female as opposed to an American Indian female?
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see if we can pull a DNA profile off of it and see what we're and it may go nowhere. I don't know. I hope we find her, who or him. It could be a him. Like I don't know, because the story has been distorted over time. What she gathered from the research that she's already done is that the Oddfellows are claiming that is not an Oddfellows casket. The person that I bought it from is claiming that she bought it at an Oddfellows auction 20 years ago. So
Jeez.
Wow.
it's a mystery. It's a
Yeah.
mystery.
So do you have like embalming tables at all? And if so, do you let people lay on it just to see if they get the feels?
I do not have any embalming tables per se, but I do have a Civil War era cooling table. I bought it out of Omaha on an oddities website, and I put it in the embalming room. And yes, you can lay on it if you want to, but I'll warn you now, it stinks.
I laid in more things that stunk before, so
Welcome to paranormal.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
use
it
myself.
stinks. I've opened it up and aired it out so that hopefully it doesn't stink when people lay on it, but it does stink. It doesn't smell like dead bodies or anything. It just smells old, but it stinks.
Yeah,
And it has
I,
wheels, so if you sit on it, be careful because it'll buck you
they'll
off.
move.
Yeah.
And I know that you stressed out before last time when we were discussing. I believe it was off camera, but caskets, you won't let anybody lay in caskets. But if you had an option to have one to be able to do so for an experiment, would you allow something like that to happen?
Yes, I am in the search of just a regular casket to put in there for people to lay in if they want to. The two caskets that I have in house right now, they're display only. People are not allowed to lay in them. They're not allowed to move them, and that's because they're fragile. One of them is a casket that was found in the basement of the building. The previous owner left it for me, and it's a Civil War era casket from about 1908, or excuse me, not Civil War, Spanish flu era casket. And that was about 1918 to 1920. And it's very fragile because the basement flooded at one time and it does have a lot of water damage, but it's a child's casket and it's pretty small. Um, Adults wouldn't fit in it anyway. But if an adult did try to sit in that, it would totally break it apart. The Oddfellows casket that I have upstairs is also small. Excuse me. When I bought it, I was told that it was an adult casket, but it's not. It's not big at all. Like I would say, I don't know. How would you describe it, Jeep? It's like a teenager sized casket, which makes
I
sense
would
because
think
she
it
was,
was more. I would think, yeah, like a teenager,
yeah.
mid teenage age. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a smaller casket. I wouldn't even fit in it, and I'm 5 foot, so it's small. But that casket is 150 years old at its
Oof.
oldest, so it's very fragile as well. And plus, it has human biological material in it, so I don't think anybody would want to lay on that anyway, or at least I
No.
wouldn't. I
I
would
don't
strongly
recommend it.
suggest you don't. And that is also on the poster, and that was something that I warn people, like, I don't know that you really want to be touching all that because it is human biological material, and obviously um, I wouldn't want to touch it.
Yeah, I hear you.
um,
So,
but
Jeep, you want to? Oh,
I
go
do
ahead.
allow people to put equipment on it, in it, and things like that. I just don't allow you to move it or sit on it.
That makes sense. Jeep, do you want to talk about your time at the mortuary so people can kind of get a hint of what to expect and what to go into as an
Yeah,
as an
there's
inspectee?
there's
You
a
know what
lot of neat things that happen, and what I love being at Tory's. I'm gonna brag a little bit on Tory. So Tory's experience working in different places, and her heart is about making sure that the spirits are well respected, as well as the people that are doing the investigation, which I really have great respect for how she looks at that. And her experience in the past shows her passion to make this place as really great as it is. I really was amazed by it. And the interesting parts to me were I tried some other areas where you said it wasn't as busy because I wanted to see if I could see any evidence outside of the area. I wanted to see if it was expanding beyond it. So like your bedrooms, those rooms, right? There were a couple of them toward the casket that were busier and one wasn't. So I went in the other one. I love that you allow everyone to try new experiences or try experiments, you know. And like it was so funny because I had that lamp that lit up and all the colors went everywhere, you know, and it could be obnoxious to spirits, but we don't know. And so being able to do that to see what happens, you know, it was cool to, it is so big, 3 days will be enough. Like it is so big and roomy, you need that much time. So you have to go back, and it leaves you wondering different things. When I woke up, I literally woke up throughout the night hearing noises, and it wasn't things that you would think, oh, it's just the wind blowing. It was like footsteps, you know, my garage door remote falling over, you know, like it was things that literally, I think, Tory, we were on the phone and you were like, you didn't sleep, you know, like one point, and I woke up and I'm like, dude, what's going on? You know, you want to make sure that your recorders are ready to record the entire time you're there. Get all your data off your SD cards because you want to record as much as you can to collect it, because it was interesting to see how much transitioned around all the areas. I mean, it was amazing, and I was amazed by it. But I really love the way that you set everything up. I loved how you know, the casket. You want people to learn knowledge not only about the place, but other things about, you know, different areas and themes that match up, and it was really impressive.
I appreciate that. And I do like it, since I have a platform, I want to be able to teach people as much as I can about death and dying and rituals and things that people did to memorialize their dead. I got several mourning photographs. I have a Victorian mourning wreath in there. Um, but I like to use my platform to educate as much as I can as well. I feel like there's no reason not to. And yeah, so I appreciate that because I do put a lot of thought and a lot of care into it. And it's nice that people recognize that for sure. And Kate that said Tim will probably lay on it, with knowing that it stinks. Um, just know that I also have showers at the mortuary. There's 3 of them and they all work. You just bring a towel and your own soap, and you can definitely shower after laying on that stinky table.
So we had an interesting experience with the walking in. What's that first area? The viewing area, the chairs, everything. So our experience.
Are you talking about the chapel?
Yeah, the chapel. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word.
No,
My
you're
brain
good.
was on that word with the sounds like, I don't know, 2 syllables. So
No, you're good.
yeah, that chapel area, we had an experience with the energy that was seen. Like we had that situation where we kind of felt like it was there, it wasn't. I also love the fact that you reviewed the information, looked over it, and you were willing to say, I didn't see it. I love that. Like us, you know, talking and you making sure that the evidence is evidence. And that's what I love also about that situation.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was interesting because like the cathedral was interesting. When we started off, the tripwire went off. We had different things happen. We had coloration or aura changes. Like you could see different things from my own view, my eyes. And there was different reactions and different things that happened in the cathedral. The flower room and the casket room, the big room that you mentioned, there was a lot of things that happened there with Eliza. When you were with us when we were doing the interactions and the spirit box, everything else, which I love I love that spirit box. Like, wow, that was awesome. So I'm still overwhelmed, but being able to hear it, being able to listen to, and Eliza confirmed 2 or 3 times, like that was amazing. There's one EVP that I heard that I got to go back and double check if it was an app or if it was an actual whisper where it whispered my name. So I need to listen to that, and that was in the casket room. That was really wild to have too.
I
I didn't do
I
anything.
will say. Oh, I was gonna say I will say that people pull some epic EVPs out of there,
Yeah.
like hands down. Like it's amazing the things that people have caught, and not just me, just other people going through. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what else you find on your audio.
Yeah, if I ever get to where I sit down and do something with just
It's hard. It's
It's
hard to
very
sit there
hard.
and listen to hours and hours and hours of like sometimes nothing. Like
yeah,
it's hard. And I think that's kind of what makes it so epic when you do catch it.
Yeah.
About 30 minutes after I set up the Oddfellows casket, I had a group there that night and I was wrapping up my tour, and I have security cameras in there. And I thought when I was wrapping up my tour, I thought that I heard a female say something. And I kind of was like reading the room and nobody else acknowledged it. So I'm like, okay, maybe I didn't hear it. Because I will be the first person to tell you that I hear disembodied voices in that building all the time. But also, part of it, I wonder if I gaslight myself because I'm kind of expecting it. Then I'm like, am I just making this up in my own head? Am I really hearing all of this, or is it just me gaslighting myself? So I went back and I looked at the security camera, and I do have a capture off of my security camera when I thought I heard the female, and you can hear her sing, and then she says, "I love you." And that video is posted on my TikTok. It did go viral. It has over 500,000 views.
that's
And
awesome.
it's so clear that if you didn't know that there wasn't a person present that said that, like you would think that it was a human being. It's so clear.
Wow. Yeah,
That's cool.
I'm looking forward to finally listening to it and getting caught up with it too, because there was middle of the night when I woke up
Mhm.
one time. If you remember, some of the people that were with me came in later, like
Mhm.
8:30 in the morning or whatever. So at that time when they came in, right before that, I woke up and thought they were there. Like
Oh
I
wow.
in conversation going on, and I'm like, okay, and I just go back to sleep. But yeah, it was. That's why I was
Yes.
taking no when you said that. Like, yeah,
So Tim brings up a good point because I was on Facebook Live, and you actually, if you go back to my last Facebook Live to the end, you can actually hear it. I was doing a Facebook Live and I was kind of giving a tour because I hadn't done that on Facebook Live before. And you can hear two females talking very loudly. And I was like, oh, I got to go, guys. My group is here. So I hung up and I walked like 20, I was sitting where the child's casket was, and I walked to the door that you enter. So as long as it took me to walk from there to the door and open it up and look outside, and there is not a soul there. There's nobody walking down the street. There's nothing. And like I firmly believe that I caught two female ghosts talking amongst each other, and you can hear it on that live.
that's awesome.
Jeez. That's
That was a
crazy.
good one. And I also, here's a funny, something funny happened was, yeah, it was wild. One of the funny things that happened was with the internet installer was, um, who's that? Go in your room. Sorry.
Pardon me, folks.
Sorry.
I got a cold, so if you hear me coughing, that's why.
No, I was parenting there. Anyway, but one of the funniest things that happened was the internet guy came because I've been having trouble with connection issues at the mortuary and people being able to get signal where they need it. So he was coming to install extenders, and we were standing there by the front door and making sure that the front door was getting adequate signal so that because the door lock works off of Wi-Fi. And we were both standing there, and then you hear footsteps come down the hallway. It was probably a good 10 steps. And we both look up, waiting for someone to walk around the corner. and nothing happened. Like we were just standing there looking. And so I walked over there and I looked and there was nobody there. And he's like, "Was that a ghost?" And I said, "Well, I guess so, because there ain't nobody in this building but us, because there's nobody down there." And he goes, "Oh." He goes, I have another appointment. I gotta go. And he, like, I've never seen somebody walk so fast.
That's hilarious.
It scared him. He was gone. He was done.
That was funny.
He was done. Yep.
So, how can people get a hold of you to get to the mortuary and set up an investigation? And do you want to discuss price or no? That's up to you.
Yeah, I can. I do. You can reserve your spot on my website as www.sleepermortuary.weebly.com, and if you go to the calendar tab, you can read all about it there. But like, if you want to do an overnight, you fill out the first form. If you want to host an investigation, like an event, hold a private event to where you sell tickets, you fill out the second form. For a private investigation that you're not selling tickets to. It is 600 for up to 10 people, so it breaks down to $60 per person. For events, you can have up to 40 to 49 people. You can sell that many tickets, and it's 800.
Oh, that's pretty reasonable to me, if you
It's
ask
just
me.
excellent price.
Yeah.
The upstairs is temperature controlled. It has air conditioning. It's 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. All the bathrooms have showers and they all work. It's got a full kitchen. You can cook for your group in there. There's pots and pans. And the only thing that I don't provide is plates and silverware. You just have to bring plasticware. I have free hot chocolate, coffee, tea that's on the house. I don't know what else to say about it, but yeah.
Bedding, the bedding stuff. Did you mention that?
Oh yeah, you have to bring an air mattress. I don't provide beds, but it's as comfortable as walking into your own home to stay there.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a heated cot now since because of Edinburgh, so I'm good.
I didn't even know they made heated cots. I'm gonna need one of
Yeah.
them. I'm gonna
Yeah,
need
it's
one of them.
gonna it cooks you pretty good because the one I got off of Amazon was like $69, I think it was.
Oh, that's
Um,
not bad at all.
it starts at, was it 75 degrees and it goes up to 140.
Dang, you'd be
Yeah,
like a piece of bacon on there.
I know. It's
Sizzle.
like, why would something like this need to be that hot? I mean, did you expect me to sit in an igloo or something or what?
I
But
mean, maybe people go ice fishing with them.
that could be. I'll send you a link which one I got.
I definitely need it for sure.
But so let's get into your books that you write for other locations that are very helpful for other people's investigations.
Yeah. So I have 8 published books. I call it the We Are series. I just kind of made it up. Uh, but I have the titles have "We Are" in them, and then you insert the name of the place that I researched. These were made for paranormal investigators, and what I do is I go into a location and I research all of the deaths that I can find on property. I put them in alphabetical order by first name, and each person has a page. Each page contains everything that I can find on that person: pictures, death announcements, obituaries, death certificates if they're available, find a grave information, anything basically that I can find about them that I can find online. And then I have interesting news sections in there with those, and that's basically any other thing that's happened on property: fires, weddings, births, weird stuff, whatever I can find in regards to that property goes in that section. And then I have indexes in the back that put them in alphabetical order by last name, month of death, and year of death, so that it's easier to find, um, information if you were to get one of those other items, so that you can find it quickly. So that's
And,
basically it in a nutshell.
and where are they available on?
It's easier if you contact me. Most of them are available on Amazon. You get the paperback version on Amazon because they won't allow me to sell the spiral version on Amazon. But if
Weird.
you order from me, it comes with free shipping, it comes signed, and you get the spiral bound version of the book. And the spiral, it was made basically so that um, when you're looking through the book, that it will stay open to the page that you have it on, as opposed to like closing because it's paperback.
Right.
But these were made to write in, to make notes in, and it's definitely a research tool.
Very cool. I love it. I love the one I got. It's a paperback, but I still love it because it's just so much stuff you could pull from. It can really turn your investigation to something completely different at times. It's a well educated tool. So for those who don't have one, definitely get one. And the big question is, have you started the one for Sleeper Mortuary?
I have actually. Um, I'm not going to write a book about Sleeper Mortuary. Um, if I were to try to write a book about Sleeper Mortuary, I would have about probably 6 to 8 volumes of books. Um, to
Wow.
date, I have found 2,700 funerals and lion states that took place on that property. That's a lot of people. Nobody's
Yeah,
actually died there though. So I guess
that's
that wouldn't
interesting.
fall in line with the We Are series. But
Yeah.
as far as funerals, lion states, there's 2,700 of those. Eventually, I will finish my list because I'm filling in information on a spreadsheet, and I will print that off and I will put it in a binder for people to use while they're there.
Wow.
It's
Very,
probably going to
very
be a lot
cool.
of papers. A lot of papers.
You got this. You got this. You've done 8 books already. You got this. So, but that's good. I just wanted for those to get out there to know that you got one kind of started a little bit.
I do.
Uh, so for more future updates, check in back and forth with Tory and see how things are going.
Yeah,
So you were just recently at Ashmore Estates. Do
I
you want to
was.
talk about your time there and how things went and what did you think of the place?
Ashmore Estates was on my bucket list for a really long time, and it was every bit as fulfilling as I thought it was going to be. It's so big, it's so beautiful. I have a special place in my heart for poor farms. I love poor farms. I learned about poor farms when I was doing We Are Edinburgh Manor. And that's kind of where I fell in love with those stories. Poor farms were basically the Neanderthal version of welfare, basically. Um, they were created and required by the government to take care of the county's poor. And usually on the census, they labeled them as deaf and dumb or inmates. Um, but all of the people that back then that society considered an outcast or not able to function, it could be elderly, the sick, the poor, women that lost their husbands, that were widowed and couldn't take care of themselves. They would go out to the poor farm with their children. People that were mentally insane, people that were blind or had Down syndrome. All of these people that society looked down upon, they would send them to the poor farm. And they're kind of self-sustaining communities is what they were designed to do, because the county had to pay for it. The able-bodied worked. Poor farms were typically 150 to 200 acres, and they did their own farming. Like they had their own vegetables and their own, chicken and cows and pig or whatever. And they would shove a bunch of people into these poor farms, and that's how they would take care of them. And they typically weren't very good living conditions. A lot of disease spread through there, especially when you're talking about pandemics, tuberculosis. My mind just went blank. Scarlet fever, typhoid fever, all those kind of things. They would spread through there pretty rapidly, and people would die from those. Poor farm cemeteries were located on the farm itself because, like I said, the county was responsible for burying the dead because they were poor and couldn't afford it. So they often had those cemeteries on property because it would save them money to bury people in that regard. But so Ashmore, with all of that in mind, going in there, it was just gorgeous. I fell in love with um, the building. It was so big, and like the stories that the tour guide was telling us about some of the inmates that resided there was really, really cool. I'm glad I went. I did have some experiences. I didn't have like a whole lot, which is okay because we also know that you can't predict paranormal activity, and that just gives me more reasons to go back and give it another go. But yeah, definitely 10 out of 10 recommend for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I haven't been there yet. I've got it's on my bucket list too, but I got my bucket list keeps growing and growing and growing. So
You
I don't think I'll
definitely
see
should
it
make
in.
it.
Yeah, I just don't see it in the sight in my bucket list. But yeah, Jeep, what do you got for any questions? We're coming up to the top of the hour here, and
I'm kind of blank with Ashmore States in regards to the common things that people experience there as much. I don't know much about Ashmore States. I know the name, I know about it, but I don't know really much about it.
You definitely
So,
should go. That's what I know
yeah,
about it.
yeah, I can imagine. So did you have situations occur that were kind of common to what people have experienced and reported in regards to
I
what you
think so.
experienced?
I
Okay.
think so. We had a lot of interaction with like the tripwire. We spent a lot of time on the second floor.
Okay.
And oddly enough, we were getting a lot of responses in regards to food, like asking about food. Um, which I mean kind of makes sense because they didn't have a lot of it. I mean, I
Right.
can't. The tour guide said at one point in time there was 250 people in that building that they were taking care of. Like looking at it, having been there, I don't know how in the heck they fit 250 people in there. They had to have been shoulder to shoulder.
Mm,
So I imagine even like during meal times, it's not like people were getting full.
right.
Um, it was probably the bare minimum if I had to guess. And
Yeah.
um, I don't know what kind of things they would make, but I imagine it was stuff that made a lot, like stews and soups and stuff like that, if I had to guess. That's just speculation on my part, but we did get a lot of responses in regards to food, and I thought that was pretty interesting. Um, I did hear, um, like some footsteps and just like your standard pops and bangs and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But I mean, to me, it was worth it.
Yeah. It sounds like in your situation it was like you have that level where you get more personal experiences that
Yeah.
your attention compared to the ones that you could get evidence like recording EVPs. It sounds like it was a lot of personal situations that leave you bewildered because of the paranormal activity.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's really cool there. And
Cool.
they've done a lot of there's a lot of plaques and stuff around the building, and it's to honor the people that have helped with Ashmore Estates, paranormal teams and things like that. There's plaques around the rooms and stuff to basically recognize them for helping with Ashmore Estates, whether that be cleaning or repairing or anything like that. And then they have a room that they have a kind of like a little like memorial for a lady that did tours there. I guess she passed away
Mm,
in an accident. I'm not familiar with her. But they have a lamp on that stays like 24/7. It stays on
mm,
as like kind of a memorial to her. So they do and they feel a lot of the same ways that I do about, the dead in general and just that honoring of and remembering of, people that have made a difference or people that suffered, and just people in general. And that I just adore. I just adore that.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's very interesting how each place you really make a connection to a place
Hmm.
versus how other places you don't really have that connection. But it's like with me, it's Malvern, it's Edinburgh. I have the
Hmm.
connection with those places. Even though I've been to Melbourne once, but that was enough to have that connection because it's all I studied for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
love Melbourne. I love McIntyre. If you've never been to McIntyre, you
Not
absolutely
yet.
need to. You
I
do
keep
need to make it.
I keep telling the boys and the ladies that we need to go there. Once we go there, we got to go to Sally's house too, right away.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
2 for 1, 2 blocks away, I
There you
believe,
go.
isn't it?
There's like a paranormal path, like kind of in
Yeah.
the like where I'm at. Because where I'm at, I'm in Iola, and then 30 minutes north of me is Garnett House, and then 2 hours north of Garnett House is McIntyre Villa and Sally House, and then 2 hours north of that is Malvern, and then you have Squirrel Cage, you have Villisca, and now they've opened up another place in Nebraska. It's called Walnut House. I don't
Hmm.
know much about it, but there's that. And I think there's actually another funeral home in Nebraska that I saw pop up. I don't know if they've been there this whole time or not, but I definitely want to hit that one if they allow public investigation.
Right,
Um,
right.
yeah, I love McIntyre. McIntyre is kind of like Malvern in a lot of ways. It is lit all the time. Things happen at during the day. It happens at night. And it's very blatant activity, and it's so cool. Like it's definitely a must see. I love McIntyre, and I love Stephanie. She's amazing and
I
one of
find
my
it
best
interesting
friends.
when you mentioned 2 hours apart, Iola, Tulsa, then you got a spider web like Ponca City, Oklahoma City. It's interesting
Hmm.
how all these different places seem to just be that distance apart, which is interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I love
That's,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a spread. I mean, Iowa's got a lot of stuff. I mean, Missouri's got a lot of stuff. Kansas got a lot of stuff. It's just a very, very wide spread of paranormal locations, and it's interesting because we got all that spread in the Midwest and the East Coast, but when
Mhm.
you talk about the West Coast, there's
There's
not a
not a
whole
lot.
lot.
Mm-mm. Isn't that
It's
interesting?
Yeah,
I mean,
You
it
get
I
to
pretty
mean,
much stops at Colorado.
Well, when you get to California, it's like this big gap. When you get to California, there's space, there's areas where there's a lot of things you could list,
Yeah.
and but it's like there's a big gap, and there's not much. Could it be it's not enough people that discovered it? I mean, because you have Skinwalker Ranch, I mean, which is
yeah,
huge, but you do have these gaps. It's interesting.
I know. I'm so excited, Tim. So excited.
Mhm.
That's
yeah.
and just because I need to because it's so cool. Tim and Kate, they build devices.
Oh yeah,
And it's so cool. Forever Investigating Beyond. They sell yes, no devices, they sell REM pods, um, and I think a music box.
yep.
But definitely hit them up, and they're reasonably priced. It's not going to break the bank to get them, and they custom make them for you.
And they're
So you
coming with new
definitely,
ideas too. That's another thing too.
yeah, yeah,
As Tim was just talking about it not too long ago on TikTok, and
yeah,
I got one of their music boxes, and I love that thing.
yeah. And they're such good people. And that's the thing. I've really just come to adore Tim and Kate, and they've helped a lot. They're very just they're just good people. And good people are hard to find in my opinion, and they're just very good, and I adore them. And they
Absolutely.
listen to me all the time. I feel bad for them kind of, especially when I send them jokes on on Facebook Messenger.
Well, and down to earth like you and Jeep, and
Yeah.
it's very hard to find people like that. But once you find it, you don't want to let them go. So
No, you don't. And I like I work nights as a nurse. So I be sending them jokes at like 2 a.m., not realizing that people don't operate on Tory time. And they never they never get mad at me. So there's that.
yeah, I wish I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's just what I got with small town paranormal. I don't think I'll find another group like that. You know, down to earth,
Yeah.
do the stuff, go
Yeah.
locations, willing to learn the different things. Let's try this. Let's try that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just it just makes investigating worthwhile to do it.
Yeah. And
So
I approached Tim and Kate and I'm like, I have this crazy idea. Like, what if we do a kids event? What do you think about that? Will you help me? And they live a long ways away from me. Like, they're completely going out of their fucking way to help me with this kids event. They live over by Chicago. So it's just not a couple hour trip for them. It's a whole trip. Like it's a whole thing. And they never ask for anything in return, and they're more than willing to help, and they're just giving, and I love them. I love them. But I am excited to see them.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
I'm
glad I
I'm
met you
waiting
too.
waiting to investigate with them at some point down the road, and uh, maybe Pine. Was it Pine View Manor or is it Pine Lodge
I
Manor or
think
something
it's
like that?
Pine Lawn. Pine Lawn,
Pine Lawn. That's it. Pine
I
Lawn. Yeah.
think. I've never been
I
there. I don't even
I
know where
haven't
it's
either.
at, to be honest.
It's in Illinois. I know that.
Is it?
Um, yeah, we've talked about it a little bit. But you get two buildings with it for $500. So
That's not bad.
no, it's not bad at all. So
Wow.
well, go ahead.
No, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
Sorry, I mumble.
so do I. So do I. But they said it's very, very, very haunted. It's a very, very active place.
Didn't it used to be like a nursing home?
Yep, very
Yeah.
mistreated people. A lot of bad abuse there. Um,
That's so
so
sad.
it's yeah.
Breaks my heart.
I mean, a lot of us don't, tend to put people there to do that, but then they take good care of them. If I was born way back in the 20s and 30s, I'd be one of those people probably in the poor farm.
Mhm.
With my
I think
disability,
most of us would be, I mean, honestly.
probably.
I would.
There's a place down by Jeep that I would love to get into.
Which one?
Oh, he's all
Hissam.
ears.
Hissam.
It's flat.
Is it? Is it torn
Someone
down?
told me it's down.
I thought it was still up. And there was like
Well,
a juvenile detention center over there by there that got
I
shut down.
think the juvenile detention center may still be up. I will go drive there tonight and let you know.
I'm
It's not
excited.
that far
Like
away.
I would love to get in there if we could.
Okay.
First and service, right there.
I thought I had a contact with someone who I have to think about who's in that area, Sand Springs, to see.
If
You're the
we
one
can
that
get
brought it to
into
me before, and I remembered that. Thought, I love you to death. So the moment you said it, I'm like, gotta find out how I can get in. And I thought someone told me it was gone.
I think a lot of people believe it's gone. I don't think it is, but I could be wrong. I haven't been out there.
Well,
But if
I
we
will.
can get
I
into
will go
Hissam,
sometime.
then we definitely. I know a couple of people that live in Chicago that would probably like to do that.
Okay, I'll see if I can locate the
Hint, hint.
address. I'm serious. I'll see if
Typically,
I can locate the address and go tonight. Just
how
go
far
look.
is it from you?
Well,
Isn't
Sand
it like
Springs not far away.
Sand Springs?
It's 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away. That's not that far away.
I was thinking I saw like a TikTok or a YouTube or something like that. Um, Somebody was urbexing there. Like you're not supposed
Yeah.
to go on property, but I was thinking somebody was urbexing there. but I could be wrong.
Yeah. I
That
can
doesn't
work.
surprise me.
Yeah, see if we can find out who owns it to see if we can get more clarity. But I'll see if I can find the address and go out there.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because you and I keep talking, like you brought it up a number of times, and every time I'm like, yeah, and I don't do it. And when I get mad at myself for not remembering. So now I'm like, all right, I'll get my shoes
Don't
on.
feel obligated to drive out there tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go check it out.
Hey,
Otherwise, I'll forget again, and it'll go another half year, and I'll be like, oh yeah.
well, if it's lightning outside, you'll go because you'll take pictures of lightning too.
If there's lightning outside, you'll see a fat man out there with a camera going click, 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 click. Yes. And a live TikTok happening.
See?
I mean,
There you
I
go.
could have Mike that was in here. He lives in Tulsa. That's my dad. So I could also send him out there. I bet he'd go. But maybe not. But maybe. I don't know.
I know.
I'd
Please,
have to
Dad.
ask him.
Please, Dad.
He might know if it's still up. He's lived in
That's
Tulsa
true.
a long time.
I was say he's been there longer than I have. Yeah, that's true. I think I have to see who it is. I know.
He's the one that told me about his
Oh yeah,
my dad.
Yeah,
Yeah, my dad's the one that told me about his
I'm gonna go in here and look and see if I can find somebody and see if they're on because I thought they told me. Now you got me. I see you got me going.
I got you on a wild goose chase.
Oh, you have me going, and I know one guy. That's
I'm full
natural.
of great ideas.
That's funny.
Or bad ones. I guess it just depends on how you look at it.
Someone came into my life and said they knew someone who, and I said, really? And my mouth watered. And then did I remember their name? No. I'll ask somebody if his name is still up.
Well, thank you, Tory, for spending time with us tonight with the podcast. Definitely, if you have more updates or if you want to promote something, please let me know and we can get you back on for promoting stuff. You know, I like to do that. And Jeep, thank you for joining me tonight with the podcast. As always, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm singing it.
You do a great job, Darren.
I try.
Thank you.
I try. Absolutely.
Thank
So
you for
everybody
having me.
yeah, anytime. If there's something that you just want to get out and say, hey, I want to talk about this, let's get on and do it. So
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you everybody in chat for joining us tonight. I appreciate you all coming in and talking and you know, I hope everybody got to see all what they were posting on here because it's something new that StreamYard is doing. So I'm still kind of learning that system a little bit. And with my cold, I'm not really speaking that too well. But anyhow, thank you for joining us on there. Remember, it's the Paranormal Question of the Day, and you can find us on BB3 TV and MGS Paranormal 4258 on YouTube, and then also Paranormal Brew on Facebook. So for Tory and Jeep, and I'm Darren. So long, everybody. I bid you adieu.
Bye.